Hello, we're back. So this is your lecture for week 6 and week 7. This is the final lecture that I'm going to do for the class. And I'm going to wrap everything up here. It may be a little bit long. I'm not sure how long I'm going to go, but I got to talk to you about a few things, talk to you about the updates, talk to you about all the crisis stuff that happened with this, and then try to get us through to the end of the semester. So pay attention, think about what's happening here. It's not going to be a whole lot of writing lesson stuff going on here. I do want you to reflect on the lecture in your journal, just basically telling me about um, that you watched it. Just give me a couple things that show me you watched it. Like, for instance, talk about the background, talk about the shirt I'm wearing, talk about my charming disposition, whatever it is you need to talk about. Just show me that you watched the lecture. So we're going to talk about some things to wrap up this class. You are now wrapping up week 6. That includes a number of different things we're going to look at, and then getting into week 7. This also includes a major essay that you're writing for the final 2 weeks of the class. So let's go ahead and jump onto Moodle and take a look at all the stuff you're doing. First, as you'll see, when you jump onto Moodle, things have changed. This is why Moodle was down for over a day, and why they were upgrading the system, or I don't know if it's necessarily an upgrade. They were changing the system. I will tell you, I'm not happy with the fact that the college decided to do this, or that the administration wasn't watching what happened when they did this, and that it caused so much disruption. It caused disruption for you. It caused disruption for me. That's why I didn't get this lecture recorded till today. Why I have to record it on Father's Day, because of the decisions that the college made me pretty unhappy. One of those decisions interrupted the amount of work that you could do on Friday, and interrupted the work I could do as well. So as a result of that decision, I have postponed the deadlines for week 6 until the end of the semester. Now, what that gives you more time to finish week 6, but it also means that you're doubling up. You've got deadlines for both week 6 and week 7 all coming on the same day. You don't have to turn it all in on the last day. You can do all this work through the next week and a half and make sure you get it done, but that's just the solution that I've come up with to make sure that you had enough time to be able to get this work done. Um, so let's go over week 6 real quick, and then we'll talk about the writing number 3, and then talk about week 7. So first, this you should be, hopefully this is done for you. Now you don't have to turn it in until the 23rd, but this is something that you should have had done. For your final stage of writing number 2, reflecting on all the work you've done for writing number 2. Uh, as a reminder, during writing number 2, you have done academic research on AI, writing and education, collaborative writing with classmates on an annotated bibliography, an impromptu writing exam on Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, a self-assessment of your writing exam, guided AI through revising and writing its own version of the writing exam, and an overall reflection of the writing exam experience. Okay, that's actually, this one's stage 4, the last one here. So I got to change that. For stage 4, oh no, I'm sorry. That's all stage 3. Stage 4, I want you to write a reflection on the entire experience. Your reflection should establish and explore the problem of human writing and AI writing in your current experience. You will use the stages of writing number 2 to help you explore that problem. Your reflection must talk about your specific experiences in each of the stages, using specific details, observations, reactions, and analysis of those experiences to help you build meaning. Each stage should be discussed in its own paragraph, or more than one paragraph if necessary. So again, stage 1 is the annotated bibliography. Stage 2 is the impromptu writing exam. Stage 3 is the AI draft of the writing exam and your own assessment of the writing exam. And then stage 4 is this essay, this brief essay. In writing your reflection, remember our initial research question: how will the cultures of work, writing, and education transform, evolve, or be disrupted by AI in the next 10 years? You might also think about how human writing is different than AI writing, how research, collaboration, impromptu writing and reflection are inherently human acts, whether or not the difference between human writing and AI writing matters, what your personal values about writing are, how human writing practices might change with the existence of AI, and then why writing matters in general. It's a lot of stuff, right? We're cramming a lot of stuff here in the end of stage 2. This is not um, a this does not have to be a huge paper. Essentially, you're going to have at least um, 4, 5 paragraphs on each of the stages and maybe an introduction and a conclusion to talk about these issues. This isn't workshopped. It is basically just a reflection. I imagine total 2 pages, 3 pages at the most. That's wrapping up stage 2. One of the problems with the 7-week semester, especially the way that I run English 132, is with these longer projects, it puts us towards the end of the semester before you are done with stage 2. And because of the problems with the tech this semester, you don't have to be done with stage 2 until our very final day. So you're not going to get any response on that until until I grade. That's just part of the gig. So you got to make sure you're doing the job. You got to make sure you're accomplishing the goals of that. The whole point of stage 4 is to reflect on the whole process of writing number 2. Let's move on to writing number 3. Writing number 3 is a wrap-up essay for the class. It is a substantial essay. It's 5 pages, and you have to be thoughtful and develop a quality essay that shows that you can do writing at the English 132 level. I need to see that you can write a quality academic essay at the English 132 level. So here's the assignment. Write a well-developed, thoughtful, intentional essay about authenticity, connectivity, internet life, personal and public, academic and professional writing, AI, and/or future work. Big. That's a big prompt. And that's it. That's the prompt. Write a well-developed, thoughtful, intentional essay. That's the first part. It's got to be in an essay mode, and it's got to be about the themes of the class: authenticity, connectivity, internet life, personal, public, academic, and professional writing, AI, and/or future work. So essentially, all the stuff we've been reading, looking at, writing about all semester, you're now going to write an essay at the end that takes all that stuff and does it in a new way. So here's some guidelines for the assignment, some considerations for the assignment. Use your previous work in this class. Use writing number 1, use the work you did for writing number 2, use the journals, the discussion boards to start considering what you want to write about. Use our readings, both fiction and nonfiction. Think about what we've learned about writing. Think about what we've learned about the themes of the course. That's the first thing. Now, that's not a guideline. That's not something that you have to do, but that should help you move along on this assignment. And in fact, this assignment could easily be just a revision of writing number 1, or a revision of much more developed, thoughtful consideration of your in-class essay for writing number 2. That's fine. You can use your own work to do this. You just have to make sure you're developing a sophisticated essay at the end. Number 2, narrow your writing down to a specific claim or thesis. Narrow your field of evidence down to a specific source or topic. Narrow your approach to saying something specific and meaningful to something specific. I'm sorry. Narrow your approach to saying something specific and meaningful to some specific meaning interested people. That is, think about who your audience is. So you're going to think about what you're claiming, you're going to think about what you're going to be talking about, and you're going to think about your audience. And you're going to put that all together into a specific, well-articulated argument. The paper has a 5-page minimum requirement, and really that should be nothing at this point, as long as you've got something to say. You need to use your sources. You can use any of the sources we've explored in the class, but or you can go do some more research, but your sources must meet the following requirements. This is a little more complicated, so pay attention. You have to have 3 sources minimum, 5 sources maximum. At least 2 of your sources must be scholarly sources. You must use Team Human in your paper. You may count Team Human as a scholarly source. So that means you got to use at least one more scholarly source. Go back to our annotated bibliography, pick something, you can use something off that, or go back to some of the readings we've had for the class. You can also use our fictional and cultural readings, but you got to make sure you understand your purpose in doing so. Don't just start talking about in real life without having anything to say about it. Sources should be used to support your argument. They should not be used to fill space or to meet a requirement. And keep in mind, this is not a research paper. It is a paper using sources to help you participate in scholarly discourse. Number 5, your paper needs to be produced with academic integrity. Your paper must show effort equal to the expectations of an English 132 level student at the end of the semester. AI may not be used to produce, edit, or revise this paper. I've already had to fail 3 people or tell them they needed to drop or fail due to AI for this class. There's a couple other people that I've had to talk to about AI for this class, despite all the warnings, despite having an assignment that was forced you to think about AI. That I've had to talk to some people, and I know that there are a couple more people I have not talked to yet that AI'd their in-class essay. If you've used AI, you need to make sure you do not use it for this paper. You may be losing some credit if I find it in other places, but make sure you don't use it for this paper. You will fail the class. I hate to make this negative, but I've got to say that clearly. Your paper needs to be a full 5 pages in MLA format using Times New Roman. You will also need an accurate MLA style works cited page. The works cited page is not included in the 5-page total. And then we don't have enough time to do a full workshop. We're going to run an introduction workshop discussion board on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this coming week. The discussion board will ask you to post your thesis, your introduction to your paper, and the revisions of the paper will be due on June 23rd by 11:59 p.m. That's the assignment. You can contact me with questions. I may start a discussion board for questions or thoughts, but we are going to be doing a brief workshop on the introduction and thesis for the paper. Your discussion board for Team Human, I think there's some people already on there engaging in it, so good job. I mean, they were supposed to be doing it all week, so there's lots of other discussions. Your other discussion for week 6, your reading journal for week 6. Let's look at week 7. This is the wrapping up the class. Week 7, of course, starts on Monday, but it's going to end on Sunday, not on Monday. You have to keep that in mind. It has to end on Sunday, and in fact, I'm giving you too long. It's going to be a real burden for me if everybody submits everything on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. I'm going to have to grade all of it before 6 p.m. the next day. So, but I want to give you every minute that you can have so that you can do your best work here. All your work for the class, makeup journals, missed papers, revisions of writing number 3, all your work, all the discussion boards for week 7, all of it is due Sunday, June 23rd by 11:59 p.m. There will be no extensions or late work accepted beyond the date. If you submit an empty file, that's what you've submitted. If you've submitted a file that the system can't read, that's what you submitted. If you tried to get on at 11:58 and to submit your stuff and then your power went out, there's nothing I can do. 11:59 p.m. on June 23rd is the deadline. Make sure your work is up and ready to go. This week, we're going to wrap up the class, and that includes workshopping our initial ideas for writing number 3, reading a sort of academic essay about digital life, identity, and authenticity, continue reading and discussing Team Human, and posting our final journals. Uh, I actually have to revise this. That was supposed to be revised. You're only reading one of these, this essay on voice, gender identity, and responsibilities to ourselves. Your tasks are listed. Here's what's happening. There's a handout on successful introductory paragraphs. There's a handout on thesis statement development. Now, these writing introductions, writing thesis statements, you don't necessarily need all of that, although I do want you to show me that you read it. You don't need that because you should have covered all that in 131 or in previous English classes, but I'm including it here because we have a workshop where you have to write an introduction, write a thesis, and write something on the sources that you're using for writing number 3. So read those handouts and then do this discussion board. Because we are at the end of the class, we can't do a full workshop on full writing number 3. So you're just going to post your introduction, a developed draft of your introduction, a developed draft of your thesis. You can include that in your introduction and or separate from your intro so that people can see it. And then an annotated bibliography of the 2 scholarly sources you will use in your paper. Your annotations don't have to be like the ones we did for writing number 2. You don't have to summarize or evaluate the source. You just need to annotate it with a couple of sentences about how and why you have chosen that source. Okay. This workshop, a developed draft of your introduction, a developed draft of your thesis, and an annotated bibliography telling us why you chose the 2 sources you're going to use in your paper. You must post your introduction, your thesis, and your source list by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. That's this coming Wednesday by 11:59 p.m. After you've posted your initial post, you will then need to post 2 workshop replies to your fellow classmates. In this workshop, just want you to answer the following 3 questions in each of your replies. Does this intro, thesis, and source list seem to be appropriate for the assignment for writing number 3? Why or why not? Just a couple sentences. Number 2, does this paper add new ideas or arguments to our discussions about authenticity? Does it provide readers with an interesting academic or cultural arguments to ponder? Why or why not? So based on the introduction and the thesis, the sources, I want you to assess whether or not this is saying something new, something interesting. And be honest, don't be cruel, but be honest here. Then number 3, identify 2 suggestions for revision of the introduction, the thesis, or the research. State why your suggestions matter. So maybe you read somebody's introduction and you remember, oh, we read this source, or you looked at this source for your annotated bibliography and you want to bring that one up. Okay. Your comments on others' work must be completed by 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, June 20th. So, quick workshop. Your work has to be posted by 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday. All comments on others' work has to be done by Thursday at 6:20. My recommendation, get this done in the next couple days, get it posted by Tuesday, and get going so that you can comment on other people's work too. You can't expect other people to post their work early so you can comment on it unless you post your work early. That's our workshop. You got an essay to read on digital queers, how computers transformed LGBTQ life in America. It's a really interesting article with lots of graphics and lots of interesting stuff happening on it. And I'm having you read that because that might give you a way to think about this paper that you're writing. Then you're going to wrap up Team Human. You'll see that this prompt is much like our prompt from week 6. Your writing number 3 submission module. Your paper must be posted in the module by 11:59 p.m. on June 23rd. No late submissions will be accepted. And please note, you need to include a docx or PDF file. And I'm making you include that file because I don't want you to post some file that I can't open or some link to Google Docs. I'm going to have to grade quickly here. I don't have time to track down your work. So post it in a Microsoft Word doc file, docx, or PDF file. Then your final journal. And that's it. The class is over. We've got 1 week, 1 full week, and the class is over. This is the last you'll see my face, unless you decide to take me in the future for English creative writing, English 139, or you decide to take me for philosophy, Introduction to Ethics, philosophy 139, or philosophy 130, Introduction to Philosophy. This will be it. I know this is an intense semester, and English 132 is particularly intense. I've had a hard time squeezing English 132 down to these 7 weeks, and not everything comes out perfectly. And then, of course, we also have technology issues that don't come out perfectly. My goal is that we have been authentic, that we have authentically written, authentically read, authentically shared. Behind me, you'll see a picture of a grill, a restaurant. I started my work in restaurants. I worked in restaurants until I was about 25. And I managed a fast food restaurant in a mall. I managed a Lee's famous recipe chicken restaurant. I worked grills and Denny's and in what was called Jerry's. I waited tables in a country club. I bartended in a country club. Did a lot of restaurant work. I kind of miss restaurant work. There's something about getting up and going to work and just doing that job and being with real people. A little bit different than doing virtual classes. But one thing I want students to be able to experience and to incorporate into their life is that as much as restaurant work is professional work and you have to build this professional identity and you have to have a great knowledge base in order to do restaurant work, so is being in college. When you first enter college in English 131 or English 094, you're kind of bewildered. You don't know what's happening. You don't you're just applying all the things you thought about high school to that class. By the time you get to English 132, your second or third semester, things have started to shift and you've started to recognize in yourself some authority, some voice. My hope is that this class has helped you recognize that authority and that voice so that if you're working in restaurants, you can go back to that kitchen and you can speak with more authority. You can make arguments with more authority, or you can move from the working world that you're existing in right now into a different working world and be ready to develop authority there. Or maybe it's not even about work. Maybe it's just about looking at the culture around you and being able to analyze and interpret and make arguments in that culture. English 132 should prepare you for developing your authorial sense, your authority as a writer and as a reader. And I hope it's helped you do that. One last thing, as a quick check to see if you're still watching this video, I want you to include in your journal a final paragraph about your overall experience of the class. Tell me what you got out of the class or what you didn't. Did you enjoy the class or not? What readings you enjoyed? Just write a brief note to me at the end of your journal about your overall experience in the class. That'll show me how many people actually watched this last video and got through to the end. I hope you've enjoyed the class. In the next week, if you have questions, send me a message. I'll try to get back to you. If you're going to have problems, any kind of problems, you need to know those problems before, say, Friday, so that I can be in tune with it, because I've got two other classes that whose work is due on Friday and Saturday, and I'm going to be heavily grading. So get in touch with me before Friday if you need to ask me any questions. Have a great week. Stay focused. Get this done. And you'll be hearing from me soon.